Faxanadu. Faxanadu. I think it's the latter, but I'm going with Faxanadu because it sounds better. This game was released in 1987. That is the year I was born. Now I won't let it get to my head, but I think I've aged a little better than Faxanadu has. My wife may disagree though. Anyway, Faxanadu is a spin-off in the Dragon Slayer series, which has actually had a load of games released for it. And here's a fun fact, The Legend of Heroes Trials of Cold Steel is actually related to this series. So there's your context. Now let's take a look at this 30-year-old Nintendo game that I decided to play one afternoon because I liked the name Faxanadu, and which I certainly wouldn't have played had I known it was pronounced Faxanadu. And if you don't have an NES, you can download this title on the Wii Virtual Console. It's definitely worth a go if you're into the classics, and here's why. You play the role of this guy, who is an elf, and doesn't have a name. You can't actually name him either, but I called him Benedict. He looks like a Benedict. After a long journey away from the World Tree, Benedict finally returns home to find his town basically abandoned. To make things worse, the once peaceful dwarves have gone a little cray-cray, and the elf fountain, which is their life source, has been poisoned. Now it's up to Benedict to investigate these mysteries and return peace to the World Tree. Essentially, your journey will be from the bottom of the World Tree to the top. Along the way, there'll be several villages to visit, separated by many dungeon-like areas. For a Nintendo game, it doesn't look too bad. Shades of brown, red and green are used throughout the tree to reflect the earthly nature of the tree itself. The sound, it's definitely a bit hit and miss. Some tracks I found myself humming to while others were incredibly repetitive. I mean, you know it's bad when your wife walks in and complains about the music. The gameplay itself is what you would expect from an action platformer of the time. The running, jumping, attacking and magic use are all pretty straightforward. The main factor in dispatching your enemies effectively comes from learning their movement patterns. Some enemies will require you to stay still and spam the attack button, while others will require you to time your attacks and positioning. The controls work well for the most part, but the inability to crouch and move in the air after jumping vertically from a stationary position created some annoyance. Some of these old school games tend to be overly difficult, but I found Faxanadu's challenge to be very acceptable. Some of the bosses annoyed the hell out of me, but I was never stuck in a situation for too long, and this was good. While the dungeon maps themselves are well designed, the enemy placements are not. Too many times was I forced to take a hit every time I wanted to climb a ladder or even enter a screen. They were just waiting there patiently, ready to kill poor old Benedict, and this was annoying. The RPG elements come into play with your equipment and character level. There are several different types of weapons, armor and magic spells to acquire throughout the game, with most being purchased in the shop. And I've just got to mention that the shopkeepers are assholes. Not one of them allowed Benedict to use items or equip anything while in the store, forcing him to go outside to change, then back inside to resume business. Jerks. Oh, and other shopkeepers don't even ask you if you want to use their service. They just charge you and then heal you. That's gotta be bad for business. Leveling up is a bit different to what you would expect. After receiving a certain amount of experience through killing enemies, you can visit the many gurus around the place and they will award you with a new rank. This rank does not increase your ability in battle. Instead, it provides you with a set amount of gold that you'll begin with every time you die. So basically, if you've spent all your gold, you can purposely die and then respawn next to the guru with your pockets full. This is a decent system, but the problem is that when you do die, and you will die, sometimes your precious keys will vanish, but sometimes they won't. I didn't really understand how this one worked. Was it a bug? Ah, bugs you say. I know we all complain about patches, but the truth is, games were never perfect on release in the old days either. There's a particular permanent item in this game that is meant to increase your attack power, but it actually decreases it, making the game significantly more difficult. Anyway, back to these gurus. They also allow you to save your game, but not in the traditional sense. They'll instead supply you with a mantra that can be put into the password screen to resume your game. I must have taken about 50 photos on my phone, updating my mantra password every time I progressed through the game. I cannot imagine the pain of handwriting each and every one of these before camera phones were invented. And that is Faxanadu, or Faxanadu. It only took about 10 hours for Benedict and I to save the World Tree and bring peace once again to the elves and dwarves. If you're into the classics, this one is definitely worth checking out. The story and presentation of the world work well together and create many moments for the engaging gameplay to shine. If it wasn't for a few minor gameplay and design issues such as the stupid enemy placements, this game would have scored a little higher. But still, Faxanadu is a quality action RPG that is worth a shot if you're into this kind of thing. This was Hellfire RPG. Thanks for watching. If you like this, hit like and subscribe for more RPG content. See you next time.